Good morning, Facebook family and YouTube subscribers. I did a video about African American mothers and single moms, in particularly, who are responsible for the destruction of Black America. I think a lot of people saw the video, and a lot of people agree with me, and a lot of people didn't agree with me, and that's acceptable. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper in detail why African American single moms cannot raise these kids into men. Somewhere along the way, we have gone wrong in believing a mother can raise a child, and particularly a man, by herself. Is it being done? It is being done, but is it being done correctly? No. A woman cannot raise her son into a man. I don't care her education, her level of income, her background, what she does for a living is just not possible. When I was growing up, my father used to do small little things which were actually major things for me as an adult, like going fishing, hunting, growing a garden. My father had a lot of discipline stuff that we had to do. When I was a little kid, I used to think my father was probably the meanest man on planet Earth. But as an adult now, I realize that all he was trying to do is make me into an adult, prepare me for adulthood. He made sure we had to have paper routes to deliver papers. We had to shovel snow, cut grass, turn money. We didn't get what did he give these kids that we had to, in order for us to get money, we had to earn it. He didn't give us anything. He didn't buy us any expensive clothes, any expensive shoes. Matter of fact, we had to buy our own clothes when we had to save our money and buy our own school clothes. All right, we didn't get it. So there were no fancy Air Jordans, no fancy Nikes, nothing of that nature, because we couldn't afford it. Not on our low incomes, delivering newspapers and cutting grass and shoveling snow and raking leaves. But those things are important and vital to helping a man grow, a child grow into a man, especially in those ages from 10 years of age to about 14 or 15. And African American women just don't seem to understand that there are some things they cannot teach their male children. And they lose control of these kids. And they cannot control, they can't control them. Now when these kids are 12, 13, 14 years of age and they're 6'2", 6'3", standing, towering over these women, and these women cannot control them. They lose complete control. My father was a tough guy. We used to get up every Saturday morning, early every Saturday morning. There was no sleeping in at his house. We were lucky if he worked that weekend. Then we got lucky we might could sneak off and watch some cartoons. But laying in bed all day watching cartoons on a Saturday, very, very rare that happened. But we had to get up, get dressed, deliver newspapers, prepare to go do some activity, whether it was going to that garden early that morning, or going fishing, or doing something of some sort, whether it was changing the oil in the car. Those were skills I never forget. My father, we had this house in Gary, Indiana. We had to scrape all the paint off the house and repaint it. So we were doing that for days, scraping paint, scraping paint, scraping paint. Not fun. In the hot heat, but everybody else was running around having a great time. We were over there scraping paint off this old raggedy house. Women, a lot of these women think that they can do it alone. They think that they can raise these children by themselves. And if you look throughout our communities, we're paying a heavy price for the mistakes of these women. These women, unmarried women in particular. See, this is my whole thing. If you're going to have children, why not go ahead and marry the man that you're having this child with? You don't want to marry him, but you'll have his child. Does that make sense? He's not good enough for you to marry, but you will allow him to impregnate you with his spawn and you have his little bastard child. Does that make sense? It doesn't to me. So I never understood that. It would make more sense to marry this man, let him help you raise this child, and take care of this child and support you all financially. Because see, here's the thing. A lot of African American women think, well, I got money. I don't need his help. Or I can do it by myself. And they run into a nightmare. Especially with these male children. They run into a nightmare with these kids. Because they realize too late, 10 years into the game, they can't control these kids. They can't discipline them. They can't tell this child what to do anymore because basically this child's starting to turn into a man. And you need a man then to beat his ass. Or keep him in check and keep him in line. Now, I think a lot of you all are probably looking around saying, well, I know of many successful women who've raised children. I could tell you some stories. This is why the divorce rate is so high. These women who who raise these boys alone, and these kids grow up and start relationships. These women who marry these men realize that these men don't have certain skills. They're lost. And because they don't have those certain skills, they're having a difficult time in their marriages, making their relationships work. It's a continual cycle. It keeps crashing and burning. And a lot of you all grew up in households with single moms. My mom raised me and I turned out great. I'm not exactly sure what your version of great is. But I got a sneaky feeling that the vast majority of us are probably sitting around saying, mm-mm. You know, because you can run off to college and get a college degree. That's what I'm hearing this. My mom raised 3 of us and we got a college degree. We're all in school. But see, I've met these characters and I think, so you can read a book, pass a test, and get a degree, but you have no life skills to survive. None. You're an idiot. But they don't see it. And I think that's sad. I have nothing against African American women. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm not. Some people say I hate black women. Why would I hate black women? That's insane. All I'm saying, a black woman, if we want our neighborhoods to be safe and return to being able to walk down the street without getting shot in the damn head by some 17-year-old kid or younger who has a gun, who hasn't been properly taught how to use a gun like my father taught me how to use one and when to use one. These kids out here trying to survive because their mothers are at work and haven't educated them or disciplined them or trained them at all. And it puts the entire community at risk. Look at what's going on in Chicago. All those shootings and murders. And we keep ignoring it. When we know the root of the problem is very simple. No fathers in these homes. These mothers trying to raise these kids alone. They're at work trying to keep food on the table while these kids out there roaming the streets getting into gang activity. But we don't want to talk about it for some reason. Or we want to ignore it. And if somebody does say something about it, you want to shout them down and tell them to shut up. But that's not going to change anything. Our communities are still going to be unsafe. There's nothing wrong with marriage. Nothing wrong with marrying. If you're going to have children, marry that man. Let him help you raise that child if he's been properly raised himself. That's a whole nother story right there. The selection process also needs to be scrutinized. How are you choosing these men that you're having children with? How did you choose that husband? Who is he? Where did he come from? What's his background? Well, we know he looked good and he rocked the bed, but now you got other issues to deal with. Anyway, I am in the process of moving today. Oh, Lord have mercy on my soul. We're relocating, and I'm not feeling this shit at all. Not at all. I gotta pack all this mess up. I gotta get rid of all this junk. It's amazing. We've been in this place for 2 years now, and I don't know where all this junk came from. I try to throw stuff in the trash, but I think as I get older, I'm turning into a hoarder. But I'm about to haul this shit to the dumpster. All of it. I went through those cabins and saw that food up in there. I was like, I'm just going to bag it all up and give it to the homeless people who don't know what else to do with some of that stuff. I mean, it's good food, but I'm like, I just don't feel like hauling this mess. Cabinets full of food. I'm like, why do we have all this food over here? But anyway, if you like my videos, click like. I would like to get some feedback on you all about black mothers raising African American men. Is it possible? Is it the reason why we're seeing so many problems within the African American community today? And let's talk realistically about it. I think that sometimes we have a tendency to take things too personal and look at our own experiences and say everything's so great. I can't sit here and say everything's just because my life has been okay and everybody's life is just like mine. Everyone isn't. Everyone's life is different. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Give me some feedback on today's video. Have a great day.